Good morning. Welcome to Just Dig It Farms. Came walking out this morning and I wanted to show you guys. We just had a lot of rain, storms last few days, and you see our lab loves it, champ. But just to give you some history of what's been going on, we have up on top of a mountain up here. When we first bought the place, we found out that there's a big spring. It don't look like a mountain, but there he is, way up on the hill up there. There's a spring that comes down and feeds this. There's a pond over here. Our neighbors have a pond. It's spring fed. Well, there's little underwater tributaries that run through here, and now it's not underwater. But when we seen this place, we thought, Tracy and I thought, well, this would be a great place to put an orchard. So we designed it, if you see, in these berms. And we knew that the water was coming down and spilling through this little low spot here and coming right down through this spot into here and coming right down the middle. Because you see it lays, the ground lays, it kind of tapers down. And so when me and Tracy first put the berms in, we had the dirt all piled up. You know, they were solid berms. We had a torrential rain about, I don't know, it was 3 years ago maybe. And we come down here and every one of these berms with our plants were just blew out. So we were upset and we come out here with shovels. It was a summertime, I think it was. We come out here with shovels and redid them all, the dirt and all. It did it again. We were like, oh my gracious. So that's what nature taught us. Why fight it? So we came, a friend of ours gave us some rock. They were taking down their fish ponds and things. So we had a bunch of rock, and I got some from down at the creek. But we said, let's just make, in the natural area, quit fighting it and dry riverbed. So that's what we did. And now, every time we have big rains, instead of it ruining what we've worked on, the water just naturally flows right through like a little river. And it works out great. But I just wanted to show you that because as it weaves through, it absorbs into the roots of these berms, which is great. Well, I wanted to come out here and check because we're gonna do a little remodeling of our berms, because the biggest issue we have is having the money, but also having material to put down to keep it weed free, because we try to be as organic as possible. And as you see, we've been focusing on other projects. The weeds have just overtaken and we've neglected our orchard. Well, Tracy and Chase started earlier this past week and started, you can see at the berms at the far end, they cleaned up some of the weeds already off these berms. So they're working slowly at doing that, but we're gonna make these berms, if we can, instead of them being really wide, we're gonna try to come in and take off maybe a foot, 2 foot on some of these berms and go around and kind of shrink them so there's not as much mulch or material that we need. And then we're going to take that dirt and fill in some of these low spots that are in some of the berms. Like we want it low right here so it takes the water and flows in to there. But you can see here, this berm right here, see how wide it is? That takes a lot of weed pulling and work when we really don't need it that wide. So we're just gonna make a few changes. And as you know, when you do things, you always learn. You learn and go, you learn and go. And that's what we've been learning here at Just Dig It Farms, is just learning from the processes and figuring out what works and what does not. And the best thing is working with nature instead of against it, because you can't defeat Mother Nature. So the water moves through here and comes through, and then it goes down starting in that riverbed. I'm gonna take my cap off. These mosquitoes are horrible out here. But as you see how the water, look how it just seeps in our berms and it goes into the roots. And this is good for when it rains in the summertime when we're in a drought, because it helps. Every little bit of water we can get will help feed the plants instead of just running off and not being a benefit. But the water comes down and we've got to clean it up. We've got a lot where the rocks, and it goes down. We have underneath this, we have some thick rubber mats that we put down that keeps the weeds from coming up in the dry riverbed.
It was actually the pond liner to Jane's pond.
Yes.
She's the one that gave us all these rocks.
And this is
Look how deep this water is.
This is our drip line funny pipe we've got here. And I'm gonna remodel it this year to where it goes underneath. I'm gonna use PVC or PEX and go underneath so you can't see it. We did that real fast to get water drip irrigation to our plants. Get the weeds out of the way. We got the drip. You see this little emitter? This little emitter you just stick in the pipe, and that one puts out about 3 gallons an hour maybe. And that's what it drips right at the root ball. And we just place them at every plant. And as you see, the water, look how nice that is. It's weedy right now, but we're gonna clean it up. Believe you me, it's gonna look great. We'll show you another video later on when we get this cleaned up. Chase and Tracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But look how great this pear tree looks. Look at that. We ought to have some pears on that this year. A lot of little pears.
A lot of fruit on there. This is year 5 for this orchard.
So if you come on down, on this berm, look at how wide it is. We've had a lot of damage from cows, from
Deer
jumping over our fence,
storms,
but our trees, we're basically having to start over, and we're going to get some more and fill in all these spots. But you see where Chase weed eated, it's so thick with weeds, you can't just out here pulling. It's so hard to keep it under control. So we have been using the cardboard method and putting hay or mulch over the top, which has been working great, but it's so labor intrusive. We're trying to find ways to simplify things, because as you know, Tracy and I are getting a lot younger. I mean younger. But we're gonna shorten these berms on the width and plant the plants. And the neat thing is when the trees and the canopy make more coverage, and Tracy pops in the companion plants with them. I don't know the term she uses, but she puts these plants in there. When you have the more growth covering on the berms, you have less weeds. So that's what we want, and it's gonna be there. Come on down this way and look. Check out this blueberry. This blueberry is thriving, and it fell over, and we've got it staked, but it is covered in blueberries. Again, coming on down, look at the water, H2O that we have to water our plants. God gave us plenty of that liquid. And the blooms again on the blueberries. This is more like the way we want it to look. We need another tree or two to fill in better, but the plan that we have, again, is we're going to shorten the width of the berms. We're going to go in. Our soil out here is really, really sandy. When we have high winds, anything that's not rooted very good just blows over. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the plants, and I'm going to, without damaging as many roots as possible, we're going to go around and try to dig holes and put in an amendment of like a clay, black cow mixture with lime on the plants and trees that need lime, and go around and kind of give it a little dose of good soil so that it has something to attach to and hold moisture. Because again, our soil is so airy, it can rain out here, and honestly in about 2 days the top layer is just dry and it's real permeable. So we're going to go through here and do that on these trees, and over time it's going to really have the soil in great shape. This right here is a beaut of a dry riverbed. Look at how neatly the rock is. This rock here, this rock right down here, you can see our liner here. But this rock is what we call it around here Selma rock or river rock. It's all over our creek banks down here. I mean, everywhere. And people buy this in the store called Pebble Rock, but so we're blessed with that.
We hauled it in here though.
This right here is cool. The water goes down here, but we noticed when we really get heavy rains, we had to make another little dry bed here because it was kept blowing out this little berm here. So we just put another little dry bed here. But check out this peach tree. It is so peachy. Look at it. It's covered in peaches. Look at there. It's gonna be yummy.
This is actually a pinto peach, or a donut peach.
Oh, a donut peach.
It's shaped like a donut and it tastes really, really good.
Speaking of that, I'm ready for breakfast. These blueberries stay loaded. I mean, loaded with blueberries. We have all different kinds. I can't name them all, but Tracy, I'm sure can. And see there, Champ's gonna, come here, Champ. See our little emitters here, right on the root ball. You like that, Champ? You like eating blueberries, don't you? Yeah, you like eating blueberries.
He does love blueberries.
I know it. So this is our little river. It goes through and it goes down into, there's another branch that comes down out of the back of that pond, out behind the bees. It comes down by my bridge over there, and it comes down and it winds into a point down here. It just flows down through. So I want you guys to come around here and see what I found this morning. So earlier this morning I was walking out here to check things out. You know, it's always good because like a goat pen, got issues with drainage there, and I think I spoke about it before, but I got to work on that. I was watching how the water was flowing. But I wanted to come over here because we got a big swarm up in that tree, and they made it through the storm last night. They're still up there. But I was coming across this little stream and I heard water just bubbling, and I've never heard it out here do that before. And I got to looking, and water is bubbling up out from under this tree. And I thought, and it's higher up than our stream. I don't know where it was coming from. So come look at this. I do not know where that pipe, it had leaves all over it. But it was coming out a lot faster this morning, a lot more volume of water. But it is really a lot of water. And someone years ago put this out in here. I don't know who would have done it, but.
And where do you think the water's coming from?
The pipe has to be coming from, you know, we did all this excavation. We never ran into any pipe. And as you can see, it's not stopped up. So that spring on top of the mountain comes down and feeds this pond, our neighbor's pond. And then there's another stream that comes down in that ditch over there and goes behind the bees. So what I'm thinking is that pond probably has a spillway with piping, And someone through the years evidently had pipes that come through, and that's where it's coming from. I believe out of a spillway out of that tributary that's going into that pond.